After a quick little 2-day absence, we are back and we are talking about a Philadelphia Phillies sweep, breaking out those brooms down in Texas against the Rangers over the weekend here with the series finale win Sunday afternoon. Again, sweep of the Rangers. Friday night was a pretty convincing win and then two straight close games to finish it out. They start a 3-game road series again here on Monday against the Cincinnati Reds. Taijuan Walker scheduled to start that series opener. We'll see what he can do. Hopefully, they can continue this momentum, get the series started on the right foot, and keep their winning ways going. They're playing really good baseball overall right now. They are building this lead in the National League East over the Mets, which is great to see as well. But anyway, welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Henley. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content. It was great to see Sunday afternoon's victory. The Phillies, they did get a home run by Edmundo Sosa, but other than that, they played some fundamental baseball. They used their speed, just smart baseball, and it helped them get that 4-2 victory over the Rangers to finish off that sweep. Trey Turner used his speed. He was on first with 1 out in the 4th inning. At the time, the Phillies were down 2-0. Rangers had that early lead. Bryce Harper hit an RBI double down the right field line. Trey Turner used his speed to go from first to home to score the Phillies' first run of the ball game. 2-1 Rangers lead at the time. And then in the next inning, in the 5th inning, after Edmundo Sosa had hit a game-tying home run, solo home run, to make it 2-2, Bryson Stott was on. He hit a single in the 5th inning, 1 out as well, just like when Trey Turner was on in the previous inning. Bryson Stott then used his speed to steal second base, get into scoring position with under 2 outs. Weston Wilson, go-ahead RBI single, gave the Phillies a 3-2 lead over the Rangers there. That's really all they needed by winning that game 4-2 eventually. But 3-2 game there with the Weston Wilson RBI single. He advanced to second base with the throw going to home, trying to get Bryson Stott, but he was safe. And as I said, Edmundo Sosa, the reason that it was the go-ahead run there, Edmundo Sosa hit the game-tying solo home run for the Phillies. And not only did they use their speed, all that fun stuff, at one point they also had a sacrifice bunt by Edmundo Sosa, and then a sacrifice fly by Brandon Marsh to drive in another run for the Phillies, a much-needed insurance run to make it 4-2. So just overall, just very fundamental baseball by the Phillies. You're not always going to be winning games with your power. Can't happen, and you can't rely on winning games that way, especially with a team with championship aspirations like the Phillies. It's always good to see them be able to drive in runs in other ways than just the long ball. Also, just a very good defensive game overall, not only by the Phillies, but by the Rangers as well. They made some great plays out there, particularly 2 in the outfield, back-to-back plays earlier in the ball game. But the Phillies themselves made some good plays, specifically Harrison Bader, the new outfielder they got at the trade deadline from the Minnesota Twins. Harrison Bader, he's an elite defender, above average defender. He won a Gold Glove back in 2021 with the St. Louis Cardinals. Just one of the better defensive outfielders in Major League Baseball, and he showed that in yesterday's win to close out that series against the Rangers. He robbed Corey Seager of a home run back in the 5th inning of that win. He ran a good distance to get to the wall, time it perfectly, jump up, and rob him of the home run. It would have tied the ball game at 3-3 at the time, so he saved the Phillies a game-tying home run there, kept them with the lead, and they ultimately won that ball game 4-2. As I said, a very elite defender, and we saw that yesterday in that win over the Texas Rangers. Another reason why the Phillies got that sweep and the win in that ball game against the Rangers is because their starting rotation, their strength in 2025 has just been excellent. They've had some rough patches here and there, especially as of late, but their just dominance on the mound was on full display down there in Texas over the weekend. First, it was Christopher Sanchez in the series opener Friday night in that 9-1 convincing victory for the Phillies. He went 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, just a 1 walk, 1 earned run, and had 6 strikeouts in that win. Picked up the win as well himself. Jesus Luzardo took the mound Saturday for the Phillies in that 3-2 close victory. He also went 6 innings. He allowed 7 hits, just the 1 walk, as well as Christopher Sanchez, just the 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, and he picked up the win as well. He also went toe-to-toe with one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball this year, and really, for the past few years when he's healthy, Jacob deGrom was on the mound for the Rangers, And obviously, Jesus Luzardo got the best of him, picking up that win over Jacob deGrom and the Texas Rangers on Saturday. And then Zach Wheeler, the Phillies ace, a Cy Young in the National League candidate, one of the top 2 guys, maybe top 3 at this point. He's been struggling as of late, hasn't had his best command. His velocity has been down over his last 4 or 5 starts now. But Zach Wheeler does always find a way to grind through his starts when he doesn't have his best stuff. That win in the series finale on Sunday over the Rangers, he showed that as well. Didn't have his best stuff, still struggling with command. Velocity still down from where it was a little while ago for him earlier in the season. However, he did grind through 5 innings, allowed just 3 hits. He did have 3 walks, which is way too many. Still, like I said, the command's just not there for Zach Wheeler right now. Only 2 earned runs, and of those 3 hits, unfortunately for him, was a 2-run home run earlier in the ball game in the first inning to give the Rangers an early 2-0 lead. So, mistake there by Zach Wheeler. That's where the 2 earned run came from. One of the 3 hits came from that as well. Kind of settled in there. He still did have 7 strikeouts. He's among the league leaders there in that category, so that's still been working for him over this kind of rough patch he's been going through. He only threw 83 pitches on Sunday. Maybe that had to do with him having that right shoulder soreness after his last start against the Tigers, which is why he was pushed back from originally supposed to be pitching Friday night against the Rangers to then now Sunday there for the series finale. Maybe Rob Thompson and the pitching staff didn't want him to go deeper into that ballgame. Probably the reason why, but still, he picked up the win as well for the Phillies. Hopefully, he can get back on track on his next start because the Phillies really need him at his best, especially come playoff time when they're facing some of the best offenses in Major League Baseball trying to win a World Series championship. I have all the faith in the world in Zach Wheeler. He's elite. He's dominant. He's one of the best in the league. We've all seen it. I've seen it time and time again. And as I said, hasn't had his best stuff recently, but still finding ways to keep the Phillies in ball games, to pick up wins as well. So we'll see what happens with him in his next start. Hopefully he's back to the Zach Wheeler we all know. Sticking to the pitching, the Phillies are getting some help with the bullpen. We all know it's been their biggest weakness in 2025. Been really one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball. One of the worst. That's changed as of late. They've been pitching very well, especially since they acquired Joan Duran from the Twins at the trade deadline, one of the best closers in the majors. But overall, their bullpen has been a lot better for the better parts of a few weeks now, going back to that. David Robertson, we all know they signed him back in July. 40-year-old right-hander, 3rd stint with the Phillies. They officially called him up from AAA. He was down there to get some innings under his belt since he hasn't pitched in Major League Baseball or professional baseball in 2025 until now. So getting the veteran back into the groove of things, ramping him up to join the Phillies bullpen. He was activated Sunday, so there's some help there as well for a struggling bullpen for much of this season. He was signed in July, as I said, made 6 appearances in AAA with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. He wasn't really that great down there before they just called him up. He allowed 11 hits, 1 walk, 6 earned runs, had 6 strikeouts in just 5 1/3 innings in those 6 appearances with the Iron Pigs. He did have 2 rough outings or appearances where he allowed 3 earned runs each of those outings. So you're going to get that with David Robertson being an older guy and not having had pitched earlier at all in Major League Baseball in 2025. Hopefully they can get him into a low leverage situation. Obviously that was not the case Sunday to get him in there because it was a close game. They wanted to get him in a low leverage situation, so he's just not thrown right into the fire right away. We'll see. Maybe we get that here on Monday or this series with the Reds and see if David Robertson is really going to be a help here through the final stretch of the regular season and into the playoffs for the Phillies. Jose Alvarado, we all know as well, he's nearing return from his 80-game suspension. He made his first rehab appearance back on Thursday in AAA with the Iron Pigs. Dominant, went 1 inning, 1 hit he allowed, and he had 2 strikeouts in that inning. He looks like he's just picking up right where he left off. Earlier in the season before his suspension, was having a terrific season in the bullpen for the Phillies. He had a 2.70 ERA, 5 holds, a perfect 7 for 7 in save opportunities, and 25 strikeouts in 20 innings pitched before his 80-game suspension for PED use. That was a weight loss supplement he claims to have taken during the offseason. Now, he is ineligible for the playoffs, we all know as well, with that suspension. So he's really only going to be able to help the Phillies in this last month and a half or so of the regular season. But good for them, good for him. He's a dominant guy in the back end of the Phillies bullpen, and he's going to be really scary now with Jhoan Duran. Obviously, they got him in the trade with the Twins at the deadline. He is now, after Sunday's victory and Sunday's save, he's a perfect 4-for-4 to start his Phillies career in save opportunities. He did allow his first hit and his first base runner Sunday in that 4-2 win over the Rangers. But still, nonetheless, he has been dominant and lights out since the Phillies acquired him. Exactly what they needed out of Jhoan Duran. Just an electric, late inning closer, dominant, something they haven't had in a very long time. And now this little duo of Alvarado and Duran is going to be very scary for teams down the stretch. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it in the playoffs, just Duran. But still, the bullpen is getting help, and they are looking a lot better now with some of these additions and some of these returns now for the Phillies. Hope you guys enjoy this episode of Phillies Daily. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly, and as always, go Phils.